It's been a while since we had a look at the solar market. So in this video, we're going to focus on Canadian solar and also quickly look at Jinko Solar, which I will update at a later stage in my next video. So starting with the earnings dates for Q4 2023, we see that Canadian solar is supposed to have it somewhere in late March, and Jinko Solar also expected to have it at some point in late March as well, which is quite late on the quarter. Usually, at least, a lot of companies are reporting their Q4 2023 basically now. Sophie had their earnings earlier in the morning, and AMD is going to have their earnings tomorrow. So it's quite late, but yeah, that's how it is. Going to the raw material cost, so you can see the current price for the polysilicon is sitting around $8, and for P-type a bit below that. These prices, obviously, you can see that they cut off the graph from last year, so yeah. But if you remember that the prices going back to 2021 and 2022 were up over 20 and even 30 at some cases. So these prices are good, although you could say that over, let's say, a couple of weeks price movement, we can see that it's been going slightly bit up, but nothing to be worried about here. Going to the, let's say, the solar module market leadership, we have the big four, Jinko Solar, Trina, Longi, and JA, all in the 60s and 70 gigawatts. And then you had Canadian Solar, which is at the next level, at the next tier. And you can see there at around 30 gigawatts. The top five, to be honest, haven't changed a lot in the last 2 or 3 years. These companies that you see in top five usually are the same. Maybe the position between a few of them will change, but at the end of the day, these fives are the main players. In terms of Canadian Solar, you can see on my graph here that the volume in terms of module shipments, they clocked in at around 31 gigawatts, which is good because that's basically 50% increase over last year, 2022. But they basically also met their guidance that they gave last year. So I quite like that. And you can see the nice growth here. And also for this year, they're suggesting somewhere between 42 gigawatts to 47, sorry. So yeah, that would make it like the yellow bar as you can see there. And I think that's very good because that's the basis of the revenue growth, at least on the solar segment. Although the company is named Canadian Solar, we know that recently they definitely went hard into the battery storage systems as well. And we will see later in the video that but Canadian Solar's battery storage business is definitely taking off and will probably, in terms of growth rate, definitely beat the solar side. So let's have a look at a bit of market news. We know that Canadian Solar got a $500 million investment from BlackRock. This happened, the news became available on just last week, 5 days ago. So this is good because to see some institutions like BlackRock actually trusting Canadian Solar is basically a recipe for, it's basically the highest seal of approval that you can get. So I think this is really good for the company in the long run because BlackRock, they are not like stupid. If they are investing their money, at least they are definitely making their due diligence. So I think this is a good sign. We can just also see that a couple of projects here, you can see that it's the subsidiary of Canadian Solar, Recurrent Energy, which deals with the project sales for Canadian Solar. They just agreed to 100 megawatt battery energy storage, which is really good. You can also see that Canadian Solar's e-storage to deliver 1170 megawatts of direct charge battery storage solution, which would make it the largest battery storage project in the UK. Again, a really good win, which is 10 times basically the size of this one. Then we know that in August, Canadian Solar signed a deal to deliver again a really big one, 1200 megawatt hours of battery energy. In the same story here, you can see that they're obviously getting deals over the line, and then we got also, and then in general, you can see that the market is definitely going up towards the, let's say, energy storage. So this one, it's not for Canadian Solar, but I'm just showing you the highliners here that this company basically signed a deal for 1.6 gigawatts, so a bit bigger than the two big ones that we showed with Canadian Solar. And they managed to invest basically $1.4 billion into this project. So these are big projects with big potentials. And then I just found this interesting one. And again, I don't know the prices on Canadian Solar's each module for the battery energy storage systems, but just to give you like somewhere of understanding of what this might cost. So 1 megawatt hour, this company is selling this tech for $438,000 US. And again, these prices is probably changing between quality and different solutions, but I guess it's anywhere between 400,000 to even a million. I've seen some rumors, but yeah, somewhere thereabouts. It's a big estimations, but again, it's just good to know that if you're selling 1 gigawatt, so it's basically you're selling 1,000 of these ones. So it's definitely a good market for Canadian solar. And they also introduced their newest, let's say, battery energy storage system, which is called SolBank 3.0. And it's going to have a power output of 1.2 to 2.35 megawatts with a capacity of 5 megawatt hours. And it's going to, if I recall, it's based on the LFP battery chemistry. Yeah, you can see there, the LFP for longer. So the LFP, compared to some other battery technologies, basically, you're not as constrained to, let's say, compared to electric car, like a Tesla, where you need as much power with as little density as possible. So you basically want high energy density, whereas in these cases, energy density is not of biggest concern compared to an electric car, because there the weight is very important. Here it's not really that important, at least not as important as a car. So that's why they usually use LFP. And then I found this is a really good web page to follow. So it's on Recurrent Energy's own web page. Again, Recurrent Energy, remember, this is a subsidiary of Canadian Solar. So it's basically Recurrent Energy and CSI Solar, which are the two big segments for Canadian Solar. And this Recurrent Energy side, you can see all their projects here. And there are some really good nuggets here. I mean, look at this, 100 megawatt solar and 400 megawatt hours of storage. So a solar plus storage project. And then I've seen this one is really interesting. 200 megawatt hours of storage again in Australia. And then have a look at this one again, 200 megawatts of solar and 800 megawatt hours of storage in United States. And there's this one, 1200 in Arizona that we mentioned previously. And look at this one, 900 megawatt hours of storage in Chile, plus 450 megawatts for the solar panels. And you see a lot of this. Look at this again, United Kingdom, 800 megawatt hours. So these are big projects that they are working on and getting over the line. So I really like this web page, and it's good to follow this one, yeah. And just to finalize the video, you can see that in the business outlook on the latest earnings on Q3, they mentioned that for the full year of 2024, the company expects total module shipments to be, as I mentioned, 42 to 47 gigawatts. And the interesting one here is, to me, the total energy storage shipment in the range of 6 gigawatt hours to 6.5 gigawatt hours. And this is really good, because last year in 2023, I think they delivered just below 2 gigawatt hours. So they're going to basically triple their output in battery energy storage, which is definitely will come with better margins compared to the solar business, in my opinion. So I really like this last line here. And also, this includes as well 2 gigawatts of solar panels that will basically go to their own solution, which they will connect with the 2.5 gigawatt hours of the battery energy storage system for internal, let's say, grid rebalancing business, which they will obviously also make a bit of profit on. Sure, these systems will not make profit as much as let's say a full sale to a customer. So you won't book off the revenue on the same day or same quarter, but what you will be able to do is to get recurring income every month, every day, every second through these grid balancing systems, which Canadian Solar will offer. And I think this is really good to basically stabilize the earnings and don't have these up and downs in the earnings, from quarter to quarter. Let's say if they deliver a bit more or a bit less of solar panels one quarter, then all these other sides, the grid balancing with the battery storage systems, will definitely make these highs and downs in the earnings a bit less noticeable, which I think the market will definitely like, because then you get a bit more. You can expect the same regular income every quarter with a stable growth, rather than just like you go up one quarter by 45% and the next quarter you contract by 10%. I don't think the market quite likes that. They would much rather have 4 quarters with average and visible growth rather than these up and downs. The reason why I think the the last line that I mentioned about, the battery energy storage going from 2 gigawatts in 2023 to expected 6 to 6.5 gigawatts in 2024. Is this actually reason here? Look at this. The energy storage annual capacity is expected to be for 2024 at 94 gigawatt hours. You can see the steady growth expected for the, let's say, all the way up to 2031 and probably even beyond. And the interesting part is, look at this number, 94 gigawatt hours. That to me is really interesting because Canadian Solar actually mentioned in their earnings report that they're gonna ship 6.5. So I think this is really interesting because 6.5 of 94, that's basically, I don't know, like 7 to 8% of the global market share for battery energy storage systems. This is maybe too good to be true, but that's at least how I read it according to their own investment deck. I will definitely investigate the battery energy storage side of their business a bit more in the next video. But I think this is where you can actually see Canadian Solar making up for, let's say, not being on the first place here, although they are not shipping as much as even Jinko Solar, obviously, which is the market leader right now. Maybe not technologically wise, like I think Canadian Solar is very competitive at the highest of the highest end, but in terms of volume, although they are still, the top 5, so they are definitely a big player, but not as big as the big whales. But it wouldn't even matter, in my opinion, that much, because if they manage to execute on this one, on the energy storage side, that's where you will definitely see this company with a market capitalization of, I don't know, what is it now, 1.4 billion. This is like what? You just remember that I showed you a project with that's 1.6 gigawatts for 1.4 billion US dollar. So I think that's basically the entire market cap of Canadian Solar in one deal. So I definitely think like this company with this low market cap and also with the very low price to sales ratio, because I think their revenue last year was in the 5 to 7 billion range. I don't quite exactly remember that. Let's have a look. Yeah, so we can see that the revenue clocked in at 7.88 billion, so basically 8 billion. And the company is valued at what? It's valued at 1.4 billion. So the price to sales ratio is ridiculously low, which is also, to be honest, true for Jinko Solar. But we'll have a look at Jinko Solar in the next video. But all I can say that I still think these two companies are definitely very, very undervalued, to say the least. Now, there's geopolitical risk, of course, with China and Taiwan and all this kind of stuff. But to be honest, I don't expect anything big to happen there. So I think this is good opportunity. But again, this is not the investment advice. And yeah, thank you for watching and see you in the next one.